Good evening. Welcome to the business meeting for Norfolk Public Schools for April 24, 2024. Welcome all. We have a quorum this evening to conduct business of the school board. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine? Here. Planton?
Present.
Gabriel?
Present.
Jordan?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Stone? Present. And Buffalo.
Here. We're going to move on to 3.03, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Satter.
Good evening. We request that all cell phones and pagers to be turned off to vibrate during the course of the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Do I have enough room?
I pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion, please, to adopt the school board business agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the school board business agenda as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Planton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Stone? Aye. And Buffalo.
Aye. We'll move on to 3.05, School Board Clerk's Report. Ms. Tanner, you're on.
We're just sticking together. Madam Chairwoman, board members, Superintendent Dr. Birdsong, our student representatives, and all of you here today. We honor art every month with a display of artwork by our talented students in the boardroom here, the hallway, and on the 11th floor. We appreciate their talented work on display each month. And next, NPS recognizes the poetic talents of our NPS students connected with Teens with a Purpose under the direction of Deirdre Love. Today we have Dorian Glass III, a Maury High School senior, and he is the 2024-25 Virginia Youth Poet Laureate Ambassador for Norfolk and was lauded as the 2023-24 Hampton Roads Youth Poet Laureate Ambassador for Norfolk and was selected as number 2 for 2024-2025. And also here today is Booker T. Washington High School graduate from 2022, Daquan Garnett, who is the 2024-25 Hampton Roads Youth Poet Laureate Ambassador for Norfolk. Let's pause and give them a round of applause. And they are here today for a short poetic presentation. You both can go to the podium.
Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Dorian Glass III. I am a senior at Maury High School. We just wanted to talk to you very quickly before we got into our poetic expression. Teens with a Purpose is a nonprofit organization based in Norfolk over here by Calvert Square and Young's Park. It's an organization made to uplift the youth and take them out of the situations that could cause them to spiral into unfortunate situations. We ask going forward in a higher effort that Teens with a Purpose and Norfolk Public Schools can collaborate to be able to offer this to more people. Because I do feel that personally it has helped me and Daquan become successful members of society and going forward. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Daquan to give you all a poem. Please clap it up for him.
Hi guys,
Hello.
my name is Daquan. I'm a staff member at Teens with a Purpose. Also, I'm a farmer / glassblower.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a poem about farming. So here goes. My name is Daquan, and I'm a farmer. My first plant, a sunflower. It grew taller than me. I was 12 then. I grow carrots, kale, jalapenos, and ghost peppers. We had a supermarket full of fruits and frozen food. There was like 28 hours in Save-A-Lot, and it closed. So I went to my second home, the garden, and gave out food. Then came Family Dollar. When you walk in, it was smaller. They had frozen food, car parts, school supplies, just enough to get us by. I saw a gray cloud, a huge puff of smoke. They went through Boost Mobile, we get our phones, Aces, we're cashing our check, the seafood restaurant, where we ordered takeout, and all the way down where Save-A-Lot was. We have no more stores. They say 2 kids burning it down, but I don't want to believe kids are capable of doing that. But someone has enough money. Someone can help us get us a new supermarket. You could be anywhere else today, but you chose to be right here. So I want to say thank you. This is not just some community, this is my home. I want what's best for them, best for us. My name is Daquan, and I'm a farmer.
As you can see, we use our poetry at Teens with a Purpose to address certain issues in where we live, because we don't speak on anything we don't live. My name is Duran. I am a senior at Moy High School. I play lacrosse. I'm committed to go play at Hampden-Sydney College, and I would like to perform a poem for you called This Black Man. This black man is not here to beat you down or take what's yours. Not looking to undress you, enjoy you, and fade away. Not looking to pick pockets for petty pennies. This black man, he never waxed thug or picked up a Drake because he's here for a long time, not a good time. To stack funds, not for the fast cars you think we all want. Not for the weed you think we all smoke. Not for the guns you think we all tote. Not for the studio to waste time spitting rhymes you think we all wrote. Nah. For them lessons to run up more bread than you could ever think of, let me rephrase. To enroll in college classes to earn more capital than your mind could imagine. For my first home that I'll give to my children and for them to give to theirs. For funds to hand down to my heirs. This black man, he will be fighting not with his fists, but with his mind. Fire will be fought with fire, and this black man with the soul of a dragon will spit flames from his tongue, set fire to parchment through ink and wordplay. This black man is building into what can only be described as the epitome of success. No multiple choice on the test, only one way to answer the question, are you going to make it? Only one choice to learn, build, and succeed. This black man is not here for the delicious pleasures of life, but for the fruits of labor. Perpetuating black excellence at its finest, hands to the skies with our struggles behind us, a roadblock. It isn't in the way. Once you find a way around it, look upon our past and be astounded the many things that could have broken us, a testament to the indomitable black spirit. All my kinfolk say black power. All my kinfolk say black power.
Black power.
A phrase to raise the chest and chins of the melanated diaspora. This black man, he got his own. Born after FUBU, but this black man, he writes for us so they don't pass by us. It's essential. Not in touch with the motherland, but aware of the womb I came from. This black man, he knows his roots. They just aren't reconnected yet. This black man is beautiful. Sunlight kisses chocolate skin and turns it honey gold. I know you've seen it. This black man is smart. From reading rooms to reading books, this knowledge is a weapon. This black man, this black man. A seed growing every day. This black man, he took the hate, turned it to fertilizer, and sprouted from the dirt. Can't beat this black man down, because muscles, they grow back stronger when they tear. And this black man, he's been ripped to pieces. Brand this black man as a thief you don't understand. He's coming to take everything that he deserves. And apologies, they don't feel as good as them reparations. This black man is human. This ivory cover, only a decoration for the mind held beneath. Knowledge runs deeper than this black skin. How could you know that? All you see is a curly-haired trigger waiting to go off. For what? When the crimes of the Caucasian man are brought to light, all you see is one man, an individual effort, but black skin equals hive minds. Black skin equals a mass murder machine moving as one. How'd that work? These black men are not here to beat you down. Our hearts pump the same blood and feel the same things yours do. We're not here to take what's yours. Earning gives us the same feelings of accomplishment that you get. We're not here to undress you, enjoy you, and fade away. A desire to be loved is shared among us all. We have yet to receive. These black men are people. Think about why we can't be treated as such. Thank you.
You.
Thank you both for your presentations. We really appreciate you, and this concludes our report.
Okay, and Ms. Tanner, do they have any guests with them tonight you
Yes,
would like
Deidre
to
Love.
recognize?
Is here today. Ms. Deidre Love, you want to stand?
Yes, please, come up to the podium.
I want to thank you again for inviting us on more than one occasion to bring youth voice to this particular space. It means a lot to me and to the organization. And I just kind of want to speak a little bit on the two young men that stood and spoke before you. Daquan, when he wrote that poem, and a lot of us know when that place burned down and that devastation, and when he came in my office, like, Mama D, this happened, and I was like, okay, write it, and write what you feel, and write what you want this poem to do. He wrote that poem. He performed it for Pharrell Williams at his Mighty Dream Forum. Someone heard him, and they offered to help us put a community fridge out in front of our building, so it wasn't what he asked for, but he got to feed the community. And other organizations, restaurants, donated the food. So what his poem did inspired people to do right by them and by us. So, I really commend you, Daquan, for showing up for people and for writing pieces that make a difference the way that they do. And for Duran, the piece that he wrote this past weekend, we went to D.C., to Washington, D.C., for the National Youth Poet Laureate Contest. And I say it like I'm going to do a poem. They performed a poem right before they announced the winners. And Duran was the only young man, because a lot of young women are doing this. Mm-hmm. He stood in that space for young men. He stood in that space for black men. He stood in that space that kind of united what was happening all around, because there were young people from around the country who were the finalists with different experiences. But they got to get a taste of Hampton Roads, a taste of Norfolk, and a taste of what a young black man who is a poet, who is an artist, and who is an activist sounds like, thinks like, and feels like. So I appreciate you all for hearing their voices, for inviting us to this space. And like Duran said, we want to collaborate more with the school system. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
do you mind if I say something?
No, go ahead.
Ms. Love, of course, we've worked together with the libraries, and I always admire the work and your dedication. You dedicated your whole life to this this community and to help these children seek their dream and to help the community. And I just want to acknowledge that. I don't know that a lot of people know about what Teens with a Purpose does. And if you're downtown, you know. But I just want to say thank you for what you're doing for our community.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. We're going to move now to 3.06, the superintendent's report. Dr. Birdsong.
Thank you very much, Chair Buffalo, and I'm sure that'll be a hard act to follow. So let's give them another round of applause. We're so proud of our young men. They are extraordinary. And so before we look at our superintendent's video report, which I think you will find very engaging this afternoon, I did want to bring to your attention that we are celebrating the month of the military child. April is the month of the military child, and so we have over 4,000 military-connected children in Norfolk Public Schools, and that is something that we truly want to celebrate. We love our military. We love all of our children. We definitely love our military-connected Connected Children. And so today, many of you may be asking yourselves, well, why does she have on camis today? Why does she have on Marine camis? Well, today was Represent Your Favorite branch of the military day today, and so I am representing the Marine Corps because my husband is a former, I should say a veteran Marine officer. They're never former Marines, and so I am representing the Marine Corps today. But of course, Norfolk is the largest naval station in the world, and so we are very fortunate to be in its backyard. And we also have family members associated with the Navy, the Air Force, the Army. Did I forget anything? NATO, Coast Guard. And so we're celebrating all of our children and our military connected families this month. And so thank you to all of our children and staff members who participated today. I think we have one more additional celebration. I know we had a red, white, and blue day. We also had our Purple Up Day, and you'll see a little bit about that in the video report. So I just wanted to take a brief moment to share that with you and help us to celebrate our military connected children. And so now we'll move on to the superintendent's video report. Thank you so much.
Elementary and middle school students showed off their book knowledge during the annual Battle of the Books tournaments. Middle schoolers read 7 books in preparation for the contest, and after several tough rounds of questions, the Academy of International Studies at Rosemont emerged victorious.
Feels great. Yeah, we put in a lot of hard work and dedication, and guess it paid off. It makes me feel really good, yeah. I've always loved reading since I was a little kid, and being able to compete in that, it's a great feeling.
The following week, 4th and 5th grade students participated in their own Battle of the Books. Students answered a variety of detailed questions at a rapid pace during this intense competition. In the end, the Academy for Discovery at Lakewood won the 4th grade battle, while Larchmont took home the 5th grade crown.
Honestly, I was really nervous the entire time, and I didn't think we'd actually win since all the other teams were super good. You just get to go against a ton of cool people that are just like you and also like reading.
Feels amazing. It feels relieving because I was stressed, definitely. It felt good because you're sharing knowledge about what you love to read and and then you could share that to other people and then maybe they can read that book.
Students in grades 4 through 6 got to test their math skills during a couple of fun competitions at Norfolk State University. The annual Math 24 Challenge had 4th and 5th graders battling against one another to see who could find patterns with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division to make 24 the fastest. This tight contest concluded with Shamond Williams from the Academy for Discovery at Lakewood taking home the top prize.
I think repetition helped me, like practicing over and over again, memorizing it so I know like what the factors are. So the first 2 rounds were easy, but when we got to the semifinals, it definitely went hard. I didn't even win the semifinals. I came second, and then I know how to turn it up, so I did that.
The next day, 6th grade students participated in a brand new team competition where they worked together to answer tough math problems for points. After 3 challenging rounds, Crossroads School emerged as the first-time champions of this event.
I think I'm really happy and excited that I won, and I'm really surprised because I didn't expect to win. I liked it. It was really fun and exciting.
Approximately 50 seniors attending Norfolk Technical Center had the unique opportunity to interview with several different businesses and organizations during the 2nd annual Hire Our Grads event. These well-prepared students were grateful for the convenience of interviewing for a good job right at their school.
Well, what they will get is we're hoping for full-time job offers with full benefits in high-demand, high-wage, high-skilled professions. These students have spent 2 years here learning their trade. They're honing in on their skills, participating in work-based learning, earning industry credentials, and now they're ready for post-secondary endeavors.
I really like that they have kind of made that foundation and allowed me to connect with these people and made it so much easier. I originally tried applying for hospitals as well, and it's just been so hard because it's like I don't really have that someone to back me up. So having a school like this that's able to connect you with all these different opportunities, it's an honor.
I think it's really helpful, especially because during school now, it's I'm so busy with school and going to work. I want a better job, but I really don't have the time for better jobs. And having something in school, I'm here anyways. I gotta be here anyways, and I need a job. And just to walk down the hallway and have the opportunity for a job, I'm definitely grateful for it.
Ghent School kicked off the spring All Norfolk Reads program by having a fun pep rally designed to get students excited about reading. This event had students running races with the winner spelling out Frindle, the book they'll be reading over the next few weeks. Special guests, including Riptide, also made this kickoff memorable for those in attendance. All Norfolk Reads provided every elementary student across the city with a copy of Frindle so they can read the book together.
It was such a great kickoff, so much excitement. The children are just thrilled, and that excitement, that energy translates into more family fun and bringing it home and talking about it. It's really a community building idea, and the children are right in the very center of it.
We want our students to get excited about books. We want them to love books and be engaged. So we wanted to have a huge book launch to help them be excited about reading.
Students and staff around the division continue to challenge each other to get to school on time every day and be ready to learn as part of the NPS School-to-School Attendance Challenge. Granby and Larchmont Elementary Schools had fun with three-wheeled motorcycles and steel drums going into spring break. Then it was W.H. Taylor's chance to incorporate an oldie but a goodie when it comes to friendly competition. Rock, paper, scissors. Following St. Helena, there will be 2 more schools participating in this year's attendance challenge before we break for SOLs and graduation. Each month, as part of the School-to-School Attendance Challenge, NPS recognizes the schools that are leading the way in combating chronic absenteeism. Congratulations to the following schools for having the best attendance for the month of March and for earning the most improved attendance. Keep up the great work.
Middle school winter 2 season is now over. Let's take a look at some images.
Administrators visited schools throughout the division to present teachers with Rockstar Awards in March. This award recognizes exceptional teachers for perfect attendance or reaching at least 95% student participation on their STAR literacy assessments. Teachers appreciated being honored for their hard work and commitment to their students.
It was exciting. I feel like, people see that I try to show up and do what I'm supposed to do. I just want to be here for the kids. I enjoy teaching, and that regularity the kids just need to see.
Speechless. I did not see it coming at all. I just figured she was here to check out how it goes on a daily basis at Monroe. I had no idea it was for me. I come every day for the kids, and so I just do, and to have somebody call me out for it, it's nice. It's really nice and unexpected for sure. It makes me feel very appreciated.
Children and their families ventured out on a rainy Saturday to gain valuable information and resources at Norfolk Public Schools' first Family University. This all-day event kicked off with a spirited message from Dr. John Hodge that focused on the theme of Family University. It takes a village no matter what.
I talked to him about how important it is for all of us to work together for the betterment of our children. I mean, we have teachers working hard, we've got parents working hard. We need to come together, start to collaborate, because if we do, we'll get better results overall.
The rest of the day featured exciting activities for students and a huge amount of information for family members. Dozens of vendors and presenters were on hand to ensure that the experience was enjoyable and beneficial for everyone in attendance.
What we want, from the young people to the family members, what we want them to understand is there's a world to be explored and your child could be part of it. And this is your opportunity. There are tons of resources here in Norfolk, and you have community members and partners who want to see the success on a large scale.
It's something for not just the kids, but the parents as well. And the parents need to have that opportunity to see things, not just for kids, hey, I'm going to a back to school night, but something where they can feel like, hey, I'm going to get something out of it as well.
And we're not the best parents. We make mistakes. We do. We make mistakes. And I'm looking at some of the sessions, I'm like, we might need to go to this session right here. But it's important that we have the resources so we can become better parents.
I'm really enjoying it. I've got a wealth of information packed in my brain in a short period of time. I really appreciate the supporters and the vendors and everybody just kind of working together to get that message across that we believe in our children and the growth and working together. I think it's very important.
Volunteers from Virginia Tech's Cornerstone Alumni Organization visited PB Young Elementary to put together snack bags for families to take home. These non-perishable foods were donated by the organization based on what they felt would be most beneficial for children.
We're doing our small part today by packing meals with proteins like peanut butter, tuna. We've also got chicken noodle soup. We're packing in fruit cups, instant oatmeal, and gummy snacks. So this is a nice way that children, when they're home on the weekends or after school, when school's out, can have an easy, nutritious, quick meal that they can prepare.
I think this is an absolutely amazing endeavor on their part. I am so grateful that they thought about our PB Young families. And as you can see, they are busy at work packing bags of goodies and items for our parents to take home. And it's an awesome endeavor.
Booker T. Washington High School partnered with Mary Bibbs of the Bibbs firm Silver Strategies to host a student-parent wellness fair. This event, which promoted both mental and physical wellness, was made possible by several community stakeholders who not only donated their time, but also prizes for the students attending this fun and meaningful fair. Over 600 NPS elementary students came out to Old Dominion's Cornblow Field for the annual Little Feet Meet. Superintendent Dr. Sharon Birdsong helped kick off this huge event, which enabled both students with disabilities and their non-disabled peer buddies to participate in a wide variety of physical fitness activities. Thanks to Special Olympics, event coordinators, and of course outstanding volunteers, students were able to have fun competing while learning more about themselves and each other.
We want them to understand that they have the ability and that they're not defined by a disability and that they can participate. And we also want our non-disabled students to have an inclusive mindset and be able to include all of their friends in all of their activities.
Oh, I think it means a lot. I think they get a lot of good energy and positive reinforcement from just being having a good attitude, using the skills that they have. And you can see it on their faces when they make a goal. At my station is the soccer kick station. When they make a goal and we celebrate together, you just see it on their faces, how much they really enjoy this activity.
Coleman Place Elementary celebrated the month of the military child in April by hosting their own Purple Up Parade. Special guests were on hand to recognize our military-connected students, and Booker T. Washington and Maury High Schools provided musical performances and NJROTC presentations. Purple, the featured color of the parade, was used to show support for military families and their children.
Well, we need our families to know that we stand behind them. We recognize the sacrifices they make when they are in the military, families are deployed, the disconnection that our children have from their parents. So we wanted an opportunity to say thank you.
Why teach at Norfolk Public Schools?
Student focus.
Growth.
We teach to the whole student. We are concerned with the student inside and outside of the classroom.
It's about growth for students, for teachers, for admin. You can elevate and achieve what you believe. We offer a competitive starting salary with bonuses and incentives in a great location. Come join us.
For more stories and information about what's happening in Norfolk Public Schools, visit the NPS homepage and click on the YouTube link.
Thank you. We use every opportunity to advertise Norfolk Public Schools, and so if you're interested in working for Norfolk Public Schools, contact our Human Resources Department, or anyone will put you in contact with our Human Resources Department. Thank you for your attention, and I will turn it back over to you, Chair Buffalo.
Thank you, Dr. Birdsong. I agree with that. Use every opportunity to recruit. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to 3.07, citizen comments. Ms. Tanner.
Yes, Chairwoman Buffalo, for today's citizens' comments, we have 7 speakers. Today's speakers signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments, you are required to state the agenda items, or a topic you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, state your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools, or if you are employed with the district, and state your agenda items. One person is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts and relevant data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@npsk12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. Our first speaker for today is Charlotte Smith-Worley, followed by Debbie Forehand.
Good evening, Chairman Buffalo, Vice Chair Gabriel, school board members, and Dr. Birdsong. My name is Charlotte Smith-Worley. I do not have children in public schools. I'm an engaged citizen. I am here tonight because I agree with Dr. Gabriel. Our right-sizing efforts need to be accelerated. Please note these orange shirts. They were printed in 2007 when I was serving on NPS Long Range Facilities Committee. The front of our shirt says, "It's the kids' turn. Renovate Norfolk Public Schools." The back says, "Caution. Norfolk Public Schools contain children, and children deserve with a list of what they deserve," and finally says, "Are you behind us?" The sad thing, these shirts are 17 years old, and in those 17 years, little progress has been made on a progressive renovation plan for Norfolk schools. After watching the last board meeting, I'm concerned the school board may be on the verge of what I call analysis paralysis. From the perspective of someone who has been there and been involved watching all these years, let me offer some advice. Number one, get with the task before you. It couldn't be more direct. You need to close and consolidate schools so renovations become more feasible. Board members, you cannot continue to avoid doing what is right just because it's hard and has possible repercussions. You cannot allow this process to be stalled and talked to death any longer. Two, when you engage the community, don't get bogged down in all the repetitive talk about goals and non-negotiables. Instead, be explicit about the objective of right-sizing, its timeline, and potential impact. There is a lot to get done. We want action, not philosophical discussions. Three, Chairman Buffalo, you helped solidify the recommended timeline. Please exercise firm leadership from here on and make sure monologues about board goals and non-negotiables don't end up derailing the timeline. Finally, it's truly the kids' turn. To overanalyze plans to achieve some lofty idea of perfection is failing them. Remember, while you're dreaming, our kids are living the reality. I have fought this fight for 17 years, and where are we? Our kids are still educated in deteriorating buildings. So where exactly are the goals and non-negotiables for that? Thank you.
Debbie Forehand, followed by Liz Albert.
Good evening, Chairman Buffalo, Vice Chair Gabriel, school board members, and Dr. Birdsong. My name is Debbie Forehand, and I don't have a child in the public schools, but I am a taxpayer, and I am the president of the River Forest Shores Wayside Manor Easton Place Civic League. Last budget year, our Civic League leadership lobbied City Council for increased funding for school maintenance. We even took the school board to task for letting us do your job because you remain silent on the city's proposed capital improvement plan. Unfortunately, you have all stayed silent again this year. This is shocking, since the city's 5-year CIP proposed projects funding for school maintenance for 51 schools and centers at $3 million annually for FY 26, 27, 28, and 29. Councilman Schmiegel, who was elected in 2010, is the longest-serving councilman. In his first CIP, FY 2010-11, school maintenance was allocated at $3 million. So 15 years later, it is projected to stay at that same level. In my opinion, you should have delayed your April 10th board meeting and showed up en masse at the council's budget public hearing to tell them a future projecting $3 million annually for school maintenance is unrealistic, even tragic. For heaven's sakes, a new roof for Booker T. Washington cost $7 million. At the last meeting, Mr. Jordan expressed concern about moving ahead with the recommended timeline for right-sizing since the city's proposed 5-year CIP delays the renovation of Norview Elementary by 2 years and has no funding for the renovation of Jay Cox and Granby Elementary schools. Those two schools aren't in the current 5-year CIP either, so this shouldn't be a surprise. In fact, this protracted timeline should have accelerated your right-sizing plan. Last November, a consultant presented an equity review to the board. One of the consultant's recommendations was this: advocate at the city and state levels for significantly more funding to update facilities. You evaluate the superintendent annually. Now do some self-evaluation. Take a good look in the mirror. What have you done to advocate for improved CIP funding? If you're honest, the answer is very little, if any at all. This is a political battle you need to fight. The superintendent and her staff cannot take aim at city leadership for failure to adequately fund the schools. You can, but you sadly have chosen not to. Do the right thing and speak out now on behalf of the children you serve. Thank you.
Liz Albert, followed by Lisa Walker.
Good evening, Chairman Buffalo, Vice Chair Gabriel, school board members, and Dr. Birdsong. My name is Liz Albert. I do not have children in school, but I'm a Civic League Vice President and a long-term advocate for improved spending on schools. I made the decision to speak tonight after watching your April 10 meeting. In its fiscal year 2025 proposed budget, the City of Norfolk has set aside just $9 million of direct local funding for major maintenance for the 51 schools and centers. This amount is just a drop in the bucket compared to the estimated $650 million NPS needs to play catch-up on major school maintenance and construction. Why would City of Norfolk leadership choose to let thousands of children attend ragged schools? And a better question is, why wouldn't you, as an elected school board, not speak up for more funding? Heck, at last night's city council meeting, a group of students had the guts to stand up for themselves when you would not. Maybe the reason for your silence is that you're sitting on an inventory of surplus schools, maybe as many as 17. So what has been happening is that the City Council has been using the board's glacial pace for closing and consolidating schools as a club against you. In other words, they justified underspending on school maintenance because, after all, why spend millions of dollars on schools that may ultimately be closed? Remove the club from City Council's hands. Stop moaning about butterflies in your stomachs and the need to align right sizing with your strategic plan, goals, and non-negotiables. By the way, I think some of the measures you have in these documents are unrealistic. For example, one of your measures is to, quote, increase racial diversity in our schools through educational planning, unquote. How can you achieve racial diversity in all schools when, according to U.S. News and World Report, your minority enrollment stands at 80%? To me, this seems like a potential club for certain school board members to use on the administration when recommended closures and consolidations don't meet with certain board members' desired benchmarks. But back to the moral imperative to renovate schools. Truly commit to the timeline that it was outlined at the last school board meeting. Even better, do what Dr. Gabriel suggested and speed up the process. Make it possible for us to stop wearing these orange t-shirts. I don't want to be wearing one for the next 17 years. Thank you.
Lisa Walker, followed by Daquan Garner. Well, I think that student is gone.
Good evening to the school board, Superintendent Birdsong, and all in attendance. As stated, my name is Lisa Walker, and I currently serve as a reading specialist at Southside STEM Academy at Campus Stella. Nika Giovanni states that if now isn't a good time for the truth, I don't see when we'll get to it. While you are waiting for a decade of information to support right-sizing the district, creating timelines for steering committees, scheduling community roundtables, avoiding backlash, aligning the board goals and non-negotiables, asking for detailed program evaluations, and providing data transparency through interim measures, I would like to share that for over 4 years, 80% of the first graders at my school have had long-term subs. The most critical content in a child's academic career, learning how to read, has been delivered by people with little to no background in education or the science of reading. According to John Hattie's research on visible learning, the single biggest determining factor for student outcomes, which is the linchpin to all 5 board goals, is collective teacher efficacy. Additionally, the superintendent cannot meet non-negotiables 1, 2, or 5 without teachers. The narrative being pushed by this board that schools are hard to fill and all urban school districts are experiencing these issues perpetuates what you claim must not be allowed in non-negotiable 3. The truth is there is a national teacher shortage with no end in sight, and NPS has too many schoolhouses operating at a deficit because no actions have been taken. I have a suggestion for synergistic message for the board to share with the community. We have found that too many of our students fall in 3 categories. 1, teaching and learning in a crumbling infrastructure. 2, taught by an uncertified teacher. Or 3, they're in both situations. We must apply some swift and broad strokes to ensure that students have the best academic outcomes, which encompasses safety, facilities, and emotionally, and the most critical component, certified teachers. This bold move aligns with our strategic plan, board goals, and non-negotiables because equity and excellence are for all. A quote from Family University was, "The direction of a child's life can be changed for the better due to the actions of one caring adult in a school." I would add, the direction of NPS can be changed for the better by the actions of one board. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. I'm providing each of you with the visible learning infographic referenced earlier, and thanks so much for listening.
Next, we have Vicki Greco.
Good evening, Chair Moore Buffalo, school board members, Dr. Birdsong, Mr. Satter, Ms. Jackson, and stakeholders in NPS. My name is Vicki Manugo Greco. I'm an NPS parent and LT graduate, former special educator, and school board advisory committee volunteer. Love the month of April. Springtime in Norfolk. Dogwoods and azaleas in bloom. The weather isn't too cold, it's not too hot, it's just right. And besides the lovely spring weather, we've been celebrating poetry, the month of the military child, and school library month. Many, many years ago, I was a military child who loved reading, who went through kindergarten all the way through NPS graduation, and my Filipino immigrant Navy family appreciated the educational support that NPS gave me and my 6 siblings. April is wonderful, but the first full week of May is necessary. Teacher Appreciation Week celebrations are being planned right now. Like other parents, I've donated gift cards for staff at my son's high school, and I'm helping organize a dessert bar for the sweet, hardworking educators at Monroe Elementary. All these little gestures of appreciation added up together help show how much we value the work of our teachers and staff division-wide. But we know we need to show our love and appreciation of teachers and staff all year long. And that's when the next year's budget comes in. The proposed NPS budget has been delivered to the City Council for their review and adoption on May 14th, when the official Teacher Appreciation Week is over. It's our school budget that reflects what and who we value as the NPS community. Moreover, the district's working practices and policies in place show our NPS staff greater appreciation and understanding of the challenges they face and work to overcome on a daily basis to teach every single NPS scholar. So with the challenges come burnout. After reading a National Education Association news article from April 2022, I was reminded about the dangers of using the term teacher burnout as widely as we use the terms learning loss. By using those terms, we put the blame on our educators and staff and students respectively. That's not fair. Even before the recent staff shortages, educators were already dealing with less time for planning and collaboration, high-stakes testing, and the silencing of educator voices. These and other trends, such as standardization and stripping of teacher autonomy, have eroded what Dr. Doris Santora, an associate professor of education at Bowdoin College, calls the moral rewards of teaching. Santora, the author of Demoralized, Why Teachers Leave the Profession They Love and How They Can Stay, distinguishes between what we call teacher burnout, which puts the blame on our teachers and staff, versus demoralization, the more accurate term to understand the roots of educator dissatisfaction and exhaustion. So with that, we need to figure out a better way to appreciate our teachers and understand the root causes of teacher dissatisfaction, as revealed by staff client survey findings and exit interviews of staff who actually leave NPS. Hopefully, so we can be better informed, our decision makers who work on good governance, good board goals, and non-negotiables so that they can empower experienced teachers and staff to be remoralized and help revitalize the professional experience of all our NPS staff. Thank you.
Chairwoman Buffalo, I had to adjust the number of speakers. It was 5. 2 of the students signed up and they're gone.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tanner.
That concludes our speakers.
Okay. We're going to move on to 3.08, approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, I'm sorry, Ms. Basine?
Madam Chair, my mic was off. As you know, I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the work, and I had mentioned to the board that, you know, I still had some unreadiness around the special education plan. However, I know there's been a lot of work, and there's been some new questions that have been added to the application, and what I would like to see, I'm going to support the plan, but what I would like to see in the future is that you know, the questions that are asked about the identified barriers, and knowing what our data shows, and of course with, you know, our staffing situation, which is not unique to Norfolk, but is something that we need to address. I do want to see that those explanations more developed in the application, but I will be voting in support.
Thank you, Ms. Basine. Any other discussion? Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Stone?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye. We're going to move on to 5.01, monthly financial report. Dr. Birdsong.
Good evening again. Our Chief Financial Officer, or Chief Finance Officer, Cheryl Spivey, will come forward to present the monthly finance report.
Thank you. Good morning, afternoon, gosh. Chair Buffalo, Vice Chair Gabriel, and
Yes.
Dr. Birdsong, and members of the school board. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the March report, which covers 9 months that began July 1st of 2023. As with the previous financial reports, the report reflects July through March transactions that are recorded on or before April 17th. I'm so sorry. As shown on the financial highlights slide, this is 9 months of revenues, and you can see that $282 million of revenues have been received to date, which is 70.7% of the $399 million budget. Collections during the same period for the 2 previous years were ranged between 67.7% and 69.8%. Thank you. As shown on the slide that's on the screen, there's a graph for revenues and a graph for expenditures and another bar for the total budget. By the end of March, we spent or encumbered $287 million, or 72% of the $399 million budget. During the previous 2 years, the spending at this point in time ranged from 64% to 67%. So we are ahead of that this year. Spending this year is ahead of the previous 2 years, with the most significant increases being in employee compensation and related benefits, pupil transportation, CSEP tuition, and insurance. This page, which shows the 2 graphs, one is of revenue and the other is of expenditures. It shows this year as well as the previous 2 years for each month. There were no transfers over $50,000 during the month of March. And our next report is the quarterly grants report, which is in the back, Ms. Tanner, if you'll go all the way to the last couple of slides there.
8.
Is it page 17?
17, okay.
The quarterly grants report. As you can see, the total grants that we're currently have available to us are $237 million. They are in progress, and we have spent or issued contracts for $165 million, or 70% of the total awarded, leaving 30% available. Our largest category of grants are those funded through the American Rescue Plan Act, and they are shown at the top of the slide. We have $119 million of these grants active. As of the end of March, we've spent or issued contracts for $107.5 million, or 90% of the amount that we have available. So we're tracking very well with those grants right now. And then the last thing I was going to talk about was the donations to schools. The donations for the quarter January 1st through March 31st totaled $476 from 10 donors. The largest donator was the school store Caring for Classrooms, and they donated $12,875 of teacher gift cards to purchase classroom supplies. And Chair Buffalo, that concludes my comments for the March financial report. If you or other members of the school board have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay, board members, you have heard the presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Jordan?
I don't have a question, just a comment with the, something I mentioned before with the gifts that are being provided to the district, especially where we see the requests that are going out on Donors Choose for instructional supplies for teachers, and I'm sure it's obviously instructional supplies for the classroom. You know, as we've talked about the unexpenditure funds that we end up with often, and one of the things that I was recommending, if we don't do or if we can look at doing, where we see that teachers and others are requesting instructional supplies, to what extent those instructional supplies align with or exceed what we're already appropriating. And obviously, those that are submitting these requests on Donors Choose or submitting requests to various partners, that we see whether or not there's an opportunity to align those requests with our determination of our needs assessment as part of the budget process, so that if we end up with excess funds, that if there's an opportunity to address, if we do have these deficits or deltas as it deals with instructional supplies, that we be able to consider how we can leverage any excess funds to address those instructional supplies, even if it may not be in the real time, but as we have opportunities for the upcoming school year. The other thing related to that I had mentioned during the budget process, I sit on a local philanthropic group, and we often receive requests from community partners to support the transportation needs of students to various events. Often their applications will say that they're working with Title I schools. The school doesn't have the resources to provide transportation to events like, you know, the NATO Festival or this, that, and the other. And so, which I often raise questions about, but I just want to make sure that, as I raised in our discussion around the budget, that if we do have the opportunity to advance our transportation resources to the extent that it aligns with our strategic plan and goals in terms of providing greater exposure opportunities for our students, and as I mentioned a moment ago, these instructional supplies, that's something that we can consider as we deal with, should we have any excess funds, which we probably will get to the point where we do not. But I just wanted to raise that again as part of this report, so that the board and administration would have an idea of what I was referencing in that regard. So that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Question, comments? Ms. Basine?
Yes, thank you. I just have a comment, and really it's just to say thank you to Dr. Birdsong and Ms. Spivey for responding to my questions about the quarterly grant status, about the way we're spending what's left for the school year. So thank you. I just wanted to say thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report?
I move that we approve the monthly financial report.
Second.
Point of order. The clarification, subject to audit. That's what Mr. Sheen said.
Subject to audit. Who did the motion?
Subject to audit.
Subject to audit. Just say it.
I move that we accept the monthly financial report subject to audit.
With that said, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Stone? Aye. Buffalo?
Aye. Move on to 5.02, 2024 VSBA Excellent in Workforce Readiness Award. Dr. Birdsong.
Good afternoon, or good evening again. I'm going back to Ms. Spivey. Good morning, good afternoon. Now we're back at good evening. And so the administration was encouraged by members of the board to apply for this award. And so we were concerned about the short turnaround, but we felt like we could put something together. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Goshen if she doesn't mind coming forward to tell you a little bit about the application, the process. There was a question around, I think it was Ms. Basine who wanted to know if the board needed to approve this award, and in accordance with the VSBA's instructions on the application, the board would have to approve this application during a meeting. And so that's why we added it to the agenda under the approval of Chair Buffalo, and here we are today. And I know there were some concerns about some aspects of the award, so we're here, or the application, so we are happy to address those this evening.
Well, good evening, Chair Buffalo, Vice Chair Gabriel, Superintendent Birdsong, and board members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come forward to answer any questions you may have for the VSBA award. As Dr. Birdsong shared, we move forward under the recommendation of the board, and we were very happy to do so. We're always happy not only to celebrate the work that's done by you, but also our teachers, students, and administrators. This particular application does require the nominations entry to be approved by the board because it is for the VSBA Association. We had so many great programs in Norfolk Public Schools to select from, but this is particularly an Excellence in Workforce Readiness Award. So we move forward with the Hire Our Grad program. Brought to you last year, our first year of operation, we collaborated with the City of Norfolk, the Hampton Roads Workforce Council, and a host of many community and businesses around our city and beyond to bring forth a great opportunity for our students. Our students had an opportunity to not only, in the several years they've had CTE, to participate in work-based learning, credentialing, and of course, a strong core curriculum and technical curriculum. And once we packaged that together, we needed to make sure that we were not just doing a career expo or a career fair, but something that really connected students to meaningful, gainful employment. So our students had an opportunity to interview with places such as Centerra, Newport's new shipbuilding, Bauer Compressor, and I could go on for full-time employment with benefits, and many of our students earned signing bonuses. I really believe they were more excited about the signing bonuses than anything else. But we just didn't put the students before and said, here, go. We had a comprehensive program for them to follow. Our students participated in mock interviews before the actual interviews. They participated in workforce seminars where they learned not only interviewing skills, how to write a resume, how to present yourself, how to follow up after you've received an interview, whether you received the job or not. It was a great experience. We had over 20-some-odd students last year who were able to secure full-time employment. We had over 10 who went into the military, and there were over 20-plus students who were not old enough maybe to go into the world of work, but what they did do, they moved them into paid internships with the goal of transitioning into the positions later. We continued that program this year, and we do not have any data because we just did it within the last week or so, but we conducted over 60 interviews for students this year. And so each year we're looking to grow. I was not at the mayor's state of the city address, but I believe he mentioned the effort, and he was very celebratory because the city played a large role in it, as well as the Hampton Roads Workforce Council. We are looking to grow. Folks called us and asked us about our students. As a matter of fact, Norfolk Public Schools was present not only last year and this year, and our students are hired within our division. We have adult students who drive the school buses now. We have students who are working to be teacher assistants. They came out of the child care, early childhood education program. I could go on, but it is late in the hour, so I'm prepared for any questions that you may have, but we're very happy we have this opportunity, and we're very thankful that you brought it forward and thought that it would be a good idea, and because we celebrate all that we do, and so I'm ready for any questions you may have about the application.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Clanton.
Okay, great. I'm really excited about it. I know that I sent an email over and said that we should do this and encouraged. I was appointed last year. I serve on the VSBA Workforce Readiness Committee on the state. And this particular award is really looking for innovation, looking for collaboration. Also working in the workforce space. That's one key things that they're looking for. Not only are we just training our students, but that we're moving people to gainful employment. And so you're demonstrating that. And so whatever we can do and to highlight, and we've learned this in our governance training, that we've got to celebrate ourselves a little bit more, celebrate the wins. Even from that first year, 20, that's 20 more students who are moving into employment, who may not, as I always constantly say about their many roads to scholarship. Everyone's not going to a 2 or even a 4-year institution of higher learning, but we're doing our job when we prepare them to be good citizens and that they can go to work and support. And so I'm also happy to hear that bus drivers, that students are moving to that, because Dr. Birdsong, we had lots of discussions around that particular idea, and that came out of some of our rural school divisions who were saying, hey, you've got high school students who drive the buses, because at that point in time, we were experiencing a major shortage in school bus drivers. So to hear that we're utilizing students to be a bus driver, these are all things that come out of that. So you're right, the mayor did tout this. I am in support of this award nomination. Anything that's going to support the great work that we're doing here in Norfolk Public Schools, that tells the true story of what we do here in Norfolk Public Schools, that we are producing great graduates, and I look forward to our graduation. When we always get to hear about the wonderful number of scholarships. I was there this week with Access College Foundation and several of our students that are there. I'm always going to root for our students and root what's in the best interest. And so I think that this is just one small thing that we can do as a board to celebrate not only our students, but all those who help prepare our students in the classroom, and also those in the community who want to ensure that we have a qualified workforce, because it's an economic development thing when we look at investment in public education. So I appreciate you, and just to let my colleagues know, I will be voting in support. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? All right. May I have a motion to approve the 2024 VSBA Excellence in Workforce Readiness Award?
Madam Chair, I move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Asim.
Aye.
Clanton.
Aye.
Gabriel.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Stone.
Aye.
And Buffalo.
Aye.
Oh, I just want to state something for the record. I'm a ex officio non-voting member of the VSBA Board of Directors, so I feel comfortable in supporting this because I don't have any say-so over it as it comes through the VSBA process. I just wanted to state that for the record.
Neither do I, because I'm not on the award committee.
Thank you for that. We're going to move on to 5.03, timeline for posting of school board materials for meetings. I placed this on the agenda because I had several board members asking about the procedures and how and when items are posted on the agenda. So I want to just open up quickly a discussion around this so we can be clear as a full board in how we will proceed specifically next year, and how items will be posted and when for us to look over before a meeting. So I'm just going to open up this item up for discussion for anyone who has any comments or questions around the document that is posted here on Board Docs.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I this is one of our outstanding task items that we have. And as you mentioned, this is something that the board has talked about. I pulled this draft from the work that our subcommittee had worked on, and the intent is to just bring it forward at this point for the board and the superintendent to look at, with the intent of us, whatever it is that we decide to do, taking the action so that ideally at the May business meeting, so that we could provide everyone time in June to have whatever we decide to do take effect in July as we start our new fiscal year. So that's why I was here, to solicit any comment. It's not there for request for any vote tonight unless for some reason the board decides it wants to do that. But it really was to move it off of the to-do list that we have and to get it into a position for us to do. So, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Stone.
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Jordan for that clarification, because that was going to be my question, was what would be the implementation timeline? Because our administration is moving into a testing season, and they're going to be busy. And if we were implementing this right away, obviously we'd be asking for things tomorrow or today, actually. So I just want to be cognizant of that.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciate the clarification on that, and as long as we're in agreement on when that would start and what a realistic timeline would be.
Yes, as I stated, probably the new fiscal year, again, something to ponder on, have a discussion around as we move forward. Again, this was on our to-do list, so I just want to make sure that we're all on one accord as we move forward in the new year and when we will get our documents.
So,
okay, so I see a whole lot of hands, so.
My hand up.
You got your hand up too? Okay.
yeah,
I'm going to go, Stone, you want to finish up a comment?
I've said what I need to. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go this way. Basine, Dr. Birdsong, and Mr. Clanton.
I'll defer to Dr. Birdsong for now, and you can come back to me so that she can have a moment to
Dr. Birdsong.
share her thoughts.
With this new timeline, I just need to make it very clear to the board that the information that you will be receiving won't be as timely as it has been in terms of our current practice. So that means, for example, when you're looking at the personnel docket, for example, just know that it's going to be 2 weeks further behind. And so I hope there are no negative implications for us being able to hire staff, especially during the teacher shortage crisis that we're experiencing. I'm very concerned about that. So I hope the board would be amenable to updates as needed, especially as it relates to data. I can tell you now that Dr. Pohl's team with Krista McGarity and Greg Williams and all the other wonderful brilliant statisticians that we have working on our data, they are working up to the last second so that we can post timely information to the board on Fridays at 4:30. So if you're asking for this information now 2 weeks in advance, you probably, we're going to have to adjust our timeline around reporting, because the information that you have available to you now on the schedule that you have now, it will not be realistic, because we won't have the data available to us to share with the board. So I just need to make that very clear so that, you know, there are not concerns expressed later around why are we getting an addendum, or why isn't this information the most current information. Those are the reasons why.
Okay. Mr. Clanton?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify, and then I'll address the question I have with Dr. Birdsong. When you say the new year, because are we talking about January 1st, or are we talking about?
Physical school year, July 1.
So new physical school year, okay. All right. Then the other item that I had was in response to, and thank you, Dr. Birdsong, for definitely sharing, expressing the concern around that. I think that we do have some mechanisms that are built in place, even when it comes to personnel. We have a supplemental document And I think that that's been the standard practice. So if we have individuals who come in within that 2-week period of time, based even on this timeline here with the 3 days ahead, the board has been very amenable for those things so that we can ensure that we continue to work with that. I also look at, in response to the data component, whether or not it's 2 weeks ahead, that's 2 weeks that we're going to get it at another point in time. And I think that your expression to us in respect that, yes, board, my colleagues, if it's 2 weeks, then we should not beat up the administration because it is 2 weeks old data. We just need to acknowledge that. I think one of the biggest things that we took out of governance training when we were looking at this practice was that not only it gave the board members more time to digest, ask necessary questions so that we can become more efficient and not having a whole lot of questions by the time that we got to the board meeting. Also, that it provided an opportunity for the community to be able to see the same information and also to be able to utilize asking questions and posting those things there. So I know change is different, and it's a challenge at times, and definitely asking. And I think with the monitoring schedule that we put in place, if we stick to it, it allows, this is one of those who move my cheese moments. It's shifting. But I think that it'll allow us and your team to be able to identify this is coming up and to begin that preparation to make sure we have that. We all want to make sure we get here, use your time effectively, your administration's time, your staff effectively, but also the board and the community's time effectively when we get here. So I'm in support of this. I worked on the committee when we first was assigned to this. A lot of school divisions use this, but boards use this particular model and getting it out there earlier. And I will be the first to say that, okay, we put it out here. If there are things that need to be adjusted, that we revisit and we adjust those things. But I think that this is a good start to move something because we realize also that this also allows us, when the administration has to go on break, when our clerk, who has to sit and wait on weekends and other times to post things up, it becomes a better beneficial across the.
He's not posting on weekends.
Well, when we have holidays, and we've experienced it, we don't want you all coming from vacation or anything else like that. This is a way that can be a win-win for everyone. And so I support this in this particular endeavor, and that we definitely come back and revisit it and make sure that it's working. If any adjustments we need to make, that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clanton. Go back this way. Ms. Basine, then Ms. Stone.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Moore Buffalo. So some of parts of my questions have been answered, but what I would like to know is the implementation timeline in terms of our decision-making process. So we have two things that I think that need to come back to us, and that is the monitoring calendar, and the second piece is then. So today we're having this discussion about this. What is the next step?
Well, the next step for this timeline, again, I would like the board members to kind of ponder over this and bring it to a vote at the May business meeting.
Okay.
And you had a question around the monitoring calendar?
Well, when that is going to come back to the board.
Okay, so with the monitoring calendar, I guess we have to have a conversation around that, but it has to be updated as we approach the new fiscal year, July 1. And with that information, Dr. Birdsong, I'm going to pivot to you as far as the dates or information about, data being available next year. So
that's definitely a discussion with my team, since they're
that's
actually
why I said
doing the work.
I'm
So
gonna
I
ask
could not respond to that tonight, but
Okay.
I certainly, with anticipating changes, we have been discussing that.
Okay. And I only ask because just looking at the monitoring calendar now, we're going into June. And so again, I know that's why I pivot to Dr. Birdsong to see when that information is even available. You had a question?
No.
Nobody?
I mean,
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I just a couple of things. One, just in regards to the, I don't want to confuse the two things that we have here. We know that what we've been working towards is in terms of monitoring, being able to provide a calendar that aligns with the goals, so that's, in our case, 5 years out. So in putting together the monitoring calendar, it provides the opportunity to align our presentations and what we will receive with this format. So there's no intent to, the intent is for it to be aligned. So that's something I think we can work towards together. Also, in terms of Dr. Birdsong's point about the HR docket, that might be something that maybe needs to be considered as an exception to this, and I welcome board's consideration of that. But largely, this is, as we discussed it during the governance training, the part of the idea is that with the goals, with the non-negotiables, with the reporting, that the board also is making the adjustment where there may be some things in our current actions and behaviors that we're doing that has us interrogating things at the administration level. The idea behind the goals, the monitoring, the non-negotiable, the posting calendar, and with the board's non-negotiables around trying to shift our focus so that we're eventually reach the point where we're spending 50% of our time on student outcomes, then some of the items that we currently do may shift. I was whispering to Mr. Clanton a moment ago. So, for example, we do the monthly financial report. And as I recall in conversations that we had in the past, that's something that we do, is not necessarily something that's required. And so as we look at moving forward, how we streamline our meetings and streamline our work to align with our goals that we've established, then, as Mr. Clanton said, there's also a cultural shift for us. And when this came up earlier, the question was asked whether or not the board and the team as a whole would make those shifts, making these decisions, having these dates, doing things more in advance. Part of that is all intended to get us to also to make those shifts as a board and how we do things. So this may foreshadow some other adjustments we need to make as we do an analysis of what we spend our time on in our meetings and what things are required and what things are not required. Similarly, as we changed our process around the work that we've been doing with board policies. We came up with a process that, for some of us that have been around for a while, we're still taking care of our responsibility, but we aren't taking up as much board meeting time because we have passed that on to the administration, the folks that have the expertise in our committees to work on that.
Ms. Stone?
Well, now Mr. Jordan gets the credit for saying what I was going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I just wanted to say that Dr. Birdsong brings up a good point, that the timeline for certain things might need to be adjusted if we're asking for things 2 weeks in advance, but we're getting addendums. Essentially, the addendum that we get is going to be the report, because by the time we end this meeting, the next report would be due, but we would have just had the addendum. So things like that probably need to be considered on a different timeline. There might be certain items that are more appropriate on an alternative timeline, and maybe we need to specify that. And perhaps Dr. Birdsong can suggest which things would be more appropriate on an alternate timeline. And I have an idea of what those might be, but you make fun of me for saying this, but I'm new. So I won't make my suggestions because I could very well be wrong. But that's definitely consideration that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. As someone who has the duties in my 9 to 5 to post documents to board docs, and when those reports and things are due, so I definitely look to Dr. Birdsong's input on that. And as we move forward in this, between the May business meeting, again, if you have any questions, please copy the entire board if you have any questions, Dr. Birdsong, so we can all be in the loop about how we move forward as far as questions around this document. Is that good?
Yes, and while Mr. Clanton says that he is amenable to addendums, I just need to make sure that all board members are, because that hasn't always been the case. So
okay,
as we're discussing that, I'd
That's
like to
fair.
hear a decision from the board around receiving addendums.
All right, so I'm just gonna,
I'm good.
everyone's good with that? Okay, Dr. Birdsong, everyone's good with that?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just
Well,
want
Mr. Jordan, go
yeah,
ahead.
I thought we were at a point where we were going to have I don't know what that means, addendums to what, but I think in terms of the personnel docket, I think it makes sense. Again, what I don't want to, can we just get to the point where we can try something, and if we find that we need to make adjustments, then we'll I acknowledge that I think there should be some flexibility, but the main intent is really dealing with the more progress monitoring, and if we get a major report on equity report or other presentations, that we receive those presentations in a timely fashion that allows the board to become prepared. And so as you all are in agenda planning, working on those things, if you know that we're looking for this 14-day window, then I think that's where you have the opportunity on the calendar to say, we'll do this in month whatever, in order to provide that opportunity to have addendums be rare outside of what's been raised around personnel docket or student support services or other items that may come forward that we haven't considered, that the Dr. Birdsong needs to make sure we're cognizant of.
And if I'm in response to, thank you for that, Mr. Jordan. If there is something, after, the agenda planning and things change between agenda planning and the next board meeting, I would just ask that I be kept in the loop about any changes that are being made so that I can share those with my team. So we're fully prepared.
Got it.
I don't know specifically what those are, but again, I think as a board, in response to what we're hearing, we need to make that cultural shift with you. And so I am committed, and I think I've heard the board is saying it is committed to making that cultural shift together. We have to do that as a governance team.
Thank you. And I'm just asking for that communication with me.
Yeah, and then, so we're all in agreement with that as we move forward, to be mindful, to be flexible. We're going to try this. We're going to step out and try this process. And again, if we have to pivot, if something is not working, we can acknowledge that and revisit. Okay, so we're going to go to the last item on our agenda, is 5.04. In your packet, school board members, is the final draft of the superintendent's summative evaluation timeline. Just want to make sure everyone is okay with the timeline as we move forward with this process. Do I have any questions or comments?
No, I'm good with it.
Okay, everyone's good with that?
Ms. Buffalo, just one point for
Okay.
us to make sure we're clear on moving forward. So, part of the work we've been doing is aligning the goals that we come out of the superintendent's evaluation with what we're monitoring. And so when we conclude on June 26th, right now we know we have what our goals are, interim goals are. But as part of completing that process, we need to make sure that not only have we signed off on the overall evaluation instrument, but make sure that we recodify, I guess, the goals as well as part of that, so that all of that should be included as part of that process, according to what we've heard from Attorney Cloud over the years.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone else? All right, thank you, board members. Well, we find ourselves at the end of our agenda. We meet again next Wednesday for our work session, May 1st. Can you believe it? We're in May, and as we stated before, testing coming up, graduations. I don't know, is this, how many? I'm not going to say that. I was told by a superintendent that wasn't appropriate to say how many days of school are left. So, but with that said, you should, well, it's true, posting of the work session for next week on Friday. And everyone, thank you for being here this evening, and everyone have a great night. This meeting's adjourned.
So I usually meet with the team after